One of the big conversations earlier this year was that speed weeks were too early in the year. Well, one of the major national touring series has shifted their speed weeks to after the Daytona 500. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series announced that they will start after the Daytona 500 instead of the middle of January, as they did this year. I wrote this up over at stockcarreport.com. The racing for the Georgia-Florida Speedweeks in 2026 for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series will begin at Alltech Speedway on Wednesday, February 18th. That is a month later than when they started this year at Golden Isles on January 15th. That will be an open practice session on February 18th. There will then be 3 nights of racing at the track between Thursday, February 19th through Saturday, February 20th. The races will pay $10 grand, $12 grand, and $15 grand to win, respectively. After Alltech, the tour heads to Ocala Speedway, or Bubba, with a practice session on Monday, February 23rd. There will then be 5 nights of racing from Tuesday through Saturday. On Tuesday and Wednesday, $7,000 will be on the line for the win. That top prize increases to $10 grand on Thursday. Friday sees a $12 grand to win top prize. On Saturday, they will be racing for $15,000 to win. Speedweeks will wrap up at Golden Isle Speedway. There will be an open practice on March 3rd. There will then be 4 nights of racing beginning on Wednesday, March 4th, where they will race for $7 grand to win. On Thursday, the prize money increases to $10 grand. On Friday, they go to compete for $12 grand. And then it ends on Saturday with a $25 grand to win feature. Throughout all of Speedweeks, there will be $650,000 in purse money up for grabs. And they have this very nice little graphic here that shares when they will be racing, which tracks they will be racing at, and what that top prize money will be. As for why they decided to make this change, Lucas Oil Series Director Rick Schwally said this: "Teams have been looking for a change to speed weeks. We listened. Racing in mid-January has become too daunting for everyone. The off-season isn't long enough, and the gap between speed weeks and the regular season is too much. The weather is also very unpredictable. If teams and fans are going to travel for speed weeks, we want to provide them with a sure bet and give them an experience they can enjoy." So that is his explanation. There, it seems like they will be trying to eliminate much of that month break that they had in March. And they obviously are going to be competing at the beginning of March and almost towards the middle of March at Golden Isles for Speed Weeks. So that does indeed shorten the gap there in March. And obviously it does give them all of January and into February now off from competition, allowing a much longer break for over the winter during the Christmas holidays, etc. This is a significant change from this year, as Speed Week started at Golden Isles on January 15th. As I said, it obviously suffered multiple rainouts. It then shifted to Alltech Raceway and closed out at Ocala on February 8th. So they've pretty much pushed it back an entire month from this year. One of the big question marks, though, is whether or not the World of Outlaws will follow suit. It's likely that they probably will. One would suspect that the people over at Lucas Oil were obviously collaborating with the people at World of Outlaws for this, and we just haven't seen an announcement for the World of Outlaws yet. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think they were also collaborating with some of the other tracks that participate in the Georgia-Florida Speedweeks. We obviously have this here from Flow Racing. Scriven's Winter Freeze will take place on Friday, February 6th, with a $25,000 to win event, with a $10,000 to win event, and then on Saturday, February 7th, with a $25,000 to win event, and then a practice scheduled for Thursday, February 5th. So that is the Scriven Motor Speedway's Winter Freeze. Unclear if that will be sanctioned by any series. Doesn't look like that's the case at this point, but it's possible that a series will pick that up. It looks like it's going to be unsanctioned right now, though. It says the 16th version of the off-season event will be for unsanctioned super late models with streaming planned at Flow Racing. So that is what it is now. And then we also got this as well from Flow Racing with the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series announcing that they will expand their presence during Georgia-Florida Speedweeks at Needmore Speedway for their South Georgia Showdown. They will be having 2 races on January 30th and 31st, and the practice session on January 29th. Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series Director Joshua Joyner said, "Being part of Speed Weeks is a big deal for our series. There's so much tradition and energy surrounding that time of year in our sport, and for us to have a presence in it is something we're proud of." It's unclear what the paydays will be for that event. Flo says, while purses for the two-day program have yet to be finalized, the series expects a significant increase in payouts over the inaugural format. Joyner also said, now with the Lucas Oil series shifting later in the calendar, we saw an opportunity to expand into a weekend slot and build something even bigger. We're also really excited to continue working with Needmore owner and promoter Chance Smith and his team at Needmore. So I think it's very clear that these organizations, these series, were clearly talking to each other, collaborating with each other on what would happen here. Obviously, with Lucas Oil pushing their speed weeks back an entire month, Hunt the Front saw an opportunity there and decided to take it and take that weekend at the end of January, which I think that was kind of where we saw the World of Outlaws towards the end of January there. You can see their Speed Weeks event started at Volusia Speedway Park on January 23rd. First night was rained out. It did get in its January 24th and January 25th events. The series would then return to Volusia on February 13th for 3 nights, concluding on February 15th. So again, it looks like they are also kind of part of this schedule change here, pushing it back, and we'll see where they will kind of fit in their races that they typically have at Volusia during these Georgia-Florida Speedweeks. I would not be surprised if we see some of these other tracks down there in the South also try to maybe get in earlier in the year as well. Remember, Lucas Oil was racing at the beginning, or at least at the middle of January this year. Would not be surprised if we see something organized around that time to kind of fill that spot. But what is interesting is we've already seen a reaction here from one of the Lucas Oil regular teams. This is Paylor Motorsports. Connor Ferguson races for them. And they said, Paylor Motorsports would like to commend the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series staff on listening to teams and owners in regards to the 2026 Georgia-Florida Speedweek schedule. In our opinion, pushing back the start of the season is a very smart call that will allow teams to have more of an offseason if they want it. I think that's the big key there, if they want it. And should provide for better weather at each of these 3 venues. We hope so. We hope so. That there'll be better weather, especially after this past year where there were so many rainouts and didn't get to see a lot of the racing taking place at Volusia, at Golden Isles, etc. But Paylor does seem to like it, and it obviously gives teams options now. I think it actually probably gives us as race fans even more racing now, because it does look like we are probably going to see races kind of fill in these spots that Lucas Oil is seeding in January. And there's going to be other series, other tracks trying to fill those gaps. And then obviously we aren't going to even have that month-long gap in March anymore. It's going to be a lot shorter than what it was this year because Lucas Oil is racing into March during the Georgia-Florida Speedweek. So it looks like to me we're going to get even more racing and than what we got even this year. So that's probably good news for us as race fans. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below.